Everywhere you look lately, it seems like popular carnivore creators are adding carbs back in. Honey, fruit, sweet potatoes, you name it. So what's going on? Does this mean the carnivore diet doesn't work? Should you be adding carbs back in too? I'm Jenny Middich, and today we're breaking down what's really happening. Why so many long-term carnivores are experimenting with carbs, what happened when I did, and why I've ultimately gone back to strict carnivore. Part 1. What's going on in the carnivore space? It's true, a lot of people that have been on carnivore for a long time are starting to experiment. You'll see it across YouTube, Instagram, podcasts. People who have done this for years are trying a few bites of fruit, some honey, or maybe a sweet potato here and there. And it's easy to think, wait, if they're doing that, does that mean carnivore doesn't work anymore? The answer is no. What you're seeing isn't a rejection of carnivore. It's actually a natural evolution. Part 2. Carnivore as an elimination diet. The carnivore diet, at its core, is an elimination diet. It helps people remove inflammatory foods, reset their gut, balance hormones, calm autoimmune reactions, and learn what foods their body actually tolerates. Most people are not going to stay zero carb forever, and that's okay. The point is healing and clarity. Once you've achieved that, it's totally normal to test reintroductions. Some people find that they thrive long-term on strict carnivore, and they stick with that. But most people will slowly reintroduce certain carbohydrates and find a balance that works for them. Maybe that's dairy, maybe some fruit, or maybe some seasonal carbs like squash or sweet potatoes. Part 3, my own experiment with reintroducing carbs. So let's talk about what happened when I added carbs back in. After being carnivore for 2 years, I decided to experiment with adding in some clean whole food carbs like fruit and salads. I was curious to see how my body would respond because I've heard a ton of experts out there saying that if you want to have good thyroid health, you need to eat some carbohydrates. Now, since I have Hashimoto's and I am the queen of N-of-1 experiments, I thought this was worth testing for myself. Starting in the beginning of this year, I started adding in a couple of salads per week and maybe a little bit of fruit. But I didn't notice any improvements in my thyroid symptoms. And in fact, I started feeling worse. I quickly realized that I cannot moderate fruit. What started as a few bites turned into bowls of frozen mangoes right before bedtime. And before I knew it, my blood sugar was skyrocketing. I also started dealing with more bloating, bigger hunger swings, and less stable sleep and focus. And interestingly, every time I ate fruit, I noticed that I would have muscle cramping overnight while I was trying to sleep, something that completely disappears when I'm strict carnivore. On top of all of that, I gained 20 pounds in about 6 months. By June, I was back up in the mid 160s, creeping my way to 170, a number I haven't seen on the scale since my first year on carnivore. Needless to say, I was not happy about that. So I went back to strict carnivore, and within just a few days, everything leveled out again. Steady energy, calm digestion, better sleep, and the weight started to come back down again. For me, strict carnivore is where I feel my best. But who's to say that maybe a few years from now, if I try to reintroduce carbs again, that I won't have a different experience? Our bodies are always changing and evolving. What works for me right now might not work for me in the future, and the same goes for you. The key is to stay tuned in, pay attention to how you feel, and make adjustments as needed. But remember, not everyone will have the same experience, and that is okay. Part 4, the glucose confusion. Some of the long-term carnivores that are adding carbs back in are saying they're doing so because they saw elevations in their glucose levels. And they took that as a sign that they needed to add carbohydrates back into their diet. But here's the thing, that's not always the right conclusion. When you've been carnivore for a while, your metabolism shifts. Your body becomes incredibly efficient at using fat for fuel. And sometimes that means your glucose might creep up a little bit. It doesn't automatically mean that something is wrong or that you've broken your metabolism. A quick adjustment that often helps: try lowering your fat intake a little bit. If you've been eating a lot of very high fat cuts of meat or adding butter to everything, easing up slightly can bring those glucose levels right back into range. This small tweak alone can make a noticeable difference for most people. It's also worth remembering that we don't have decades of blood work from people doing carnivore to show that these little upticks in glucose aren't just normal blood glucose glucose for carnivores. That might actually be your body's new baseline, a normal adaptation to long-term fat metabolism. And most importantly, glucose does not exist in a vacuum. One blood work marker doesn't tell the full story. You have to look at the bigger picture. What's your fasting insulin, your A1C, your triglycerides, your HDL? How's your inflammation looking with HSCRP? What about GGT? If all of those markers are improving or they're within a healthy functional medicine range, then a slightly higher fasting glucose level might not mean anything at all. Glucose can also be affected by sleep, stress, heat, cold, and a plethora of other factors, not just what you're eating. Context is everything. Also, we're talking about long-term carnivores here, not people that are just starting the carnivore diet. If your glucose is rising on carnivore and it's still early on, you need to lower the fat and raise the protein. I'll put some links in the description to my lipotoxicity and lower fat carnivore meal plan videos so you can check those out if this is happening to you. Part 5. Insulin suppression in Dr. Cywes' perspective. Another thing that's been popping up in our community lately is the idea of insulin suppression. Dr. Robert Cywes has talked about this quite a bit, and it's an interesting concept. He's noticed in his practice that for some people that have been doing carnivore long term, their insulin levels can become too suppressed. Now, that does not happen to everyone, but in certain cases, your body may become so efficient at maintaining low insulin levels that it starts to affect how you handle even small amounts of glucose or other hormonal processes. In that situation, Dr. Cywes recommends adding in some whole, real food carbs once in a while. Things like fruits and vegetables, maybe a couple times a week. It doesn't have to be every day, and it does not need to be in large amounts. The key is to choose fruits and vegetables that do not affect you physically or mentally, and to monitor how your body responds. It's not about leaving carnivore. It's about using food strategically to support balance and metabolic flexibility. For some people, that small adjustment makes all the difference. For others, it's unnecessary. Like everything else with eating this way, it comes down to experimentation and finding what truly makes you feel your best. Part 6. Does adding carbs back in mean that carnivore doesn't work? I would say absolutely not. It simply means that carnivore served its purpose. This way of eating was never meant to be a life sentence. It's a powerful tool that helps you heal, eliminate inflammation, reset your metabolism, and figure out exactly what foods your body thrives on, and also what foods your body can't tolerate. If you've used carnivore to heal your gut, stabilize your blood sugar, lose weight, and reduce inflammation, and now you can tolerate some whole, real food carbs, that's a win, not a failure. The carnivore diet isn't meant to trap you. It's meant to free you from the chaos of modern nutrition and help you rebuild trust in your own body again. What really matters is the quality of the food that you're eating. Whether you stay strict carnivore or add in a few carbs, the focus should always be on real whole food. Meat, eggs, maybe some fruit or some tubers. That's a completely different story than going back to processed junk food, added sugars, gluten, or packaged keto foods that are just a chemical soup in disguise. Carbs themselves are not the enemy. It's the type of carbs and how your body responds to them that matters the most. So if someone adds carbs back in and they feel great, that's success. And if someone thrives staying zero carb, that's success too. The goal is to find the version of this lifestyle that makes you feel your best. So before you jump on the carbs are back train, I want you to ask yourself, what's working best for me right now? For me, that's still strict carnivore. It's where my energy, my focus, and my thyroid feel the most stable. If you're still in the healing phase, don't rush it. Let carnivore do its job. When your body is ready, you'll know. And if you'd like more guidance, recipes, and troubleshooting, my new book, Complete Carnivore, is now available for pre-order. It's packed with everything you need to get started, plus 80 recipes and real-world strategies to help you in your carnivore journey. And just a quick reminder, if you pre-order this book before November 3rd at 11:59 p.m., you'll get access to an exclusive bonus PDF absolutely free. It includes my quick start guide, supplement, and troubleshooting guides, my lipotoxicity cheat sheet, plus 2 exclusive recipes that are not in the book. Once you've pre-ordered, just grab your receipt and head to the link in the description so you can access this free resource. And if you haven't pre-ordered yet, I've put those links in the description as well. If you found this video helpful, make sure to hit the like, subscribe, and drop a comment letting me know. Are you carnivore for life, or are you experimenting with reintroducing carbs? I'd love to hear about your experience. And with that, I'll see you in the next video.